Joining us now, David Barrett, presidential historian, Villanova University political science professor. Thank you so much for getting up early and being here with us.
My pleasure.
All right, so I feel like the big question on everybody's mind right now is, what is the process? What happens next? And really, what's next for Kamala Harris?
Well, legally, formally, a presidential or a candidate, you know, he was all but the nominee, cannot just give the delegates to vice presidential person. But so there in a technical sense, there will be an open convention. Whether there be any actual opposition from any candidates for the nomination, I don't know. Some people are obviously thinking about it, a few people. But the delegates will choose a nominee. That will happen. Whether it be competitive or not, we'll see. Yeah. For her, she ran for the presidential nomination in 2020, and really it didn't go well. So, and this is really an unprecedented path for her. So she and her new campaign committee and the DNC, they do need to sort of at least give the appearance of having their act together as they go through these challenging weeks. They don't want to make a bad impression on public opinion. They don't want to alienate. There are some Democrats who fervently wanted Biden to stay in. Right. I would not say they were a majority, but so she has some definite challenges.
Yeah, and one of these challenges, too, is making the right choice here for a running mate.
Right.
One of the names on the short list is Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, certainly. Pennsylvania, swing state, might be important. What do you think of the chances of Governor Shapiro?
Well, not because I live in Pennsylvania. I do live here, but I have thought for some days, because we all knew that Biden might get out, and I've thought, well, I think Josh Shapiro, in most respects, would be an ideal candidate. He is youngish. He's a relatively popular governor. I think he presents very well. He's made a good impression. It's a swing state. I'm not going to say that he totally delivers the state. That's not how elections go. But I think he improves the chances of her winning Pennsylvania in the presidential race. I think he'd be strong. I honestly think he would be stronger than the other names that I hear.
Can you talk a little bit about President Biden and his legacy? He's been in Washington for 5 decades. Does the way this whole thing is playing out now, what does that mean for his legacy?
You know, in the short run, I'm thinking of the old, a couple of generations ago, comedian Rodney Dangerfield, who said, "I don't get any respect." And that, in the short run, that tends to be true of one-term presidents. But he has had, I would say, President Biden has had a highly respectable domestic reform achievement legacy, and has been, I would say, the history books will say, a pretty steady performance. Afghanistan was not good in the Biden years, but mostly a pretty strong foreign policy record. So, and he made the choice. He made it late, but he made the choice to get out. And that actually, honestly, if he had stayed in and if he had lost, which was not a sure thing that he would, but if he'd stayed in and he'd lost, he really would have had a very damaged legacy reputation.
Yeah. Okay. David Barrett, professor of political science at Villanova University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.